We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider. Jones Angel, Adam Lucas. Let's look back. We have lots of things to help us do so. Our Coca-Colas, our Lenovo tablet. Let's look back at the previous weekend in Carolina athletics. And Adam, we start with football, but wait a second, there was no football game. Tar Heels on their open date. Felt like it came at a good time, though. Carolina a little beat up in their last game, the victory over Georgia State. They were without several key offensive players, still scored 35 points and won the game. But good time for Carolina to regroup, get healthy, and prepare for a difficult stretch upcoming.
I thought Mac Brown made a good point with you on Monday night at the radio show.
Yeah.
Jones over there at Top of the Hill. He said he would rather have won 35-28 over Georgia State than 56-3 because he felt like the closer margin gave him some more teaching points to talk to the team and made the team pay a little closer attention. He said when you win 56-3, everybody thinks they're great. They don't think they can improve, but obviously they know there are improvements to be made, and hopefully those improvements have been made this week. We know some improvements potentially made in the depth chart because it looks like the Tar Heels might be getting some injured players back after this open week.
Sounds like the Tar Heels are closer to being healthy. The anticipation is that Spencer Rolland on the offensive line will be available. Will still be closer to game time before the final decision is made on Josh Downs. Even Antoine Green, who was injured in the preseason, is close to returning. Caleb Hood as well. But all of those guys are progressing. So even if it isn't this week, it will be soon that they return for Carolina. And Adam, it is Notre Dame, 3:30 on Saturday afternoon, first of back-to-back games in Kenan Stadium. And Irish just 1-2, but you know they have talent, and you know they're going to be good on the offensive and defensive lines. That's always a strength for Notre Dame.
And that's consistently been an issue when Carolina has faced Notre Dame. A lot of times that has been the difference when Notre Dame prevails. Feels like the pendulum may have swung a little too far on Notre Dame to people not believing they're good. They were in the game with Ohio State in the season opener. Ohio State, a very good team. Of course, we know the Irish lost to Marshall. We know they beat Cal in a close game. But I think to expect this to be a Tar Heel walkover would be foolish. And you also have to see, you got in a little bit of rhythm during those 3 weeks Carolina was playing. How do you come out of this off week, and are you able to put together a full 4 quarters, which Mac Brown has still said is something this team is searching for.
So that is 3:30 Saturday afternoon. Should be a great weekend in Chapel Hill. Radio-wise, we'll be on the air at 2:30 for that one. Let's change gears a little bit. Adam, we creep closer to live action with Carolina basketball. Not that far away, just a couple of weeks away, about a week and a half until the Tar Heels have their first open event to the public. Also, autographed basketballs from the team going on sale in the near future as well. That's, I believe, October 1st. So creeping closer and closer to basketball season.
All those preseason things are coming together for basketball. First practice of the year is on Monday. That one's closed. But then the public will get a chance to see the Tar Heels on Friday night, September 30th at the Smith Center for live action. And then autographed basketball is on sale the very next day. You can go to GoHeels.com to get the information on that. All the proceeds for that go to charity. That is not an NIL thing. It's easy to get it confused now, but that's all for charity. Coach Davis and the players decide how they want to distribute those funds. So a lot of things happening as we get into October and get a little closer to that first exhibition game.
Also, Adam and I had a chance to speak to Coach Davis for about 25 minutes or so on the last edition of the audio podcast that came out this past Friday. So check that out on your podcast feed. The Carolina Insider had a good chat with Coach Davis about the upcoming live action event, the season in total, the off season, all kinds of different things with Coach. All right, let's change gears, Adam, to Olympic sports. We'll start with field hockey. Carolina goes on the road. Tar Heels ranked number 2 in the nation, go on the road to face Louisville, ranked in the top 5 as well. And boy, just continued stellar play from Carolina.
This was a really good win for Carolina in a physical game. A lot of bodies hitting the turf at Traeger Stadium in Louisville. Carolina gets the 3-0 win. You know about the Carolina offense. Ashley Sessa, the freshman, scored a goal in her first ACC game, and that was all Carolina needed because the defense has really been playing well. Tar Heels now have 4 straight shutouts. In those 4 games, they've outscored opponents 20-0, and they completed a pretty lengthy stretch away from Karen Shelton Stadium without a loss, and now they'll get to come back home this weekend.
Friday, 4 o'clock, Wake Forest, the next action for Carolina field hockey. That is, as Adam alluded to, in Karen Shelton Stadium here on campus in Chapel Hill. Let's go from there to men's soccer. And Adam, maybe the best week so far of the year, young season for men's soccer. Got a win in the midweek, 1-0 over East Tennessee, and then went to Duke, which was ranked number 5 in the nation. And you know how it is with soccer. There was a draw. One won the final in that one, but really quality result for the Tar Heels in a difficult place on the road.
Yeah, and both goals coming in a very quick 30-second span. Carolina's comes from Akeem Clark to earn the draw in, as Jones said, a tough place to play. Carolina needed a good result. They had some frustrating finishes lately, having a little bit of trouble generating offense, but they got all they needed to get the tie against Duke. And now they'll be back at home against UNC Wilmington, stepping out of conference tonight before they go back into league play this weekend. Adam,
I'm going to check my Lenovo tablet. It says volleyball won the VCU Invitational this past week.
Let me see what my Lenovo tablet says.
You're tablet free right now, maybe one day. Carolina goes on the road for the VCU Invitational and wins all 3 of them. They beat Old Dominion, beat VCU, and then beat UMBC. And really, it was 3-1, 3-0, 3-0. So pretty dominant victory in that event for Tar Heel volleyball. And volleyball had a rough trip out west to start the season, but since then has really been playing well.
Getting some good play from former podcast Mabry Schaffmaster. Had a team high 15 kills against UMBC. That's her 6th time being in double-digit kills. But for the weekend, it was Charlie Nigo. She had 34 kills over those 3 matches. So Tar Heels really playing well, and they'll need to be because they're going back into ACC play this weekend, back on the road, going to Pitt Friday, going to Virginia on Sunday.
All right, let's wrap up with soccer and tennis. We'll start with women's soccer. And Adam, a crazy finish. The Tar Heels in a top 5 matchup with Virginia in Chapel Hill. Looked like Carolina was in control, leading by 2 goals with less than 20 minutes to play. But then all of a sudden gave up a boatload of goals in a short amount of time and ended up falling 3-2.
How crazy was it? It's only the 2nd time this has ever happened in Carolina women's soccer history that an opponent came back from a 2-goal deficit to defeat the Tar Heels. Credit to Virginia, they were able to do it. They got 3 goals in the span of just 18 minutes. Even though Carolina outshot Virginia for the match 13-6, Anson Doran said, and looks like the score bears it out, Carolina just needs to finish better. And we're going to have a chance to talk to Avery Patterson later this week about the Carolina offense and some of the things the Tar Heels need to do. Because as you know, ACC play doesn't let up. Carolina going back on the road this week. They'll be at Syracuse on Thursday.
And then finishing up, we'll go to women's tennis. Been one of the best programs in the nation for several years now. The regular season hasn't started yet, but going through some kind of invitationals, exhibition type of things here at this point of the season, and a bunch of success for the ladies, Adam, in South Carolina this past weekend.
Tar Heels get 3 separate singles flight titles at the Debbie Southern Furman Fall Classic. Former pod guests Fiona Crawley, Abby Forbes, Sophia Patel all win one of those singles flights. Brian Calba's just kind of figuring out what he's got. That's what you want to do in the fall. Figure out how you want to set the lineup as you get ready for the spring, when we know Carolina women's tennis has been incredibly successful.
All right, bunch of stuff coming up. It starts with men's soccer tonight, 7 o'clock in Chapel Hill against UNCW. Mentioned field hockey. They're at home on Friday against Wake Forest. And, of course, big football game, 3:30 on Saturday afternoon. We'll be able to recap all of that and much more next week on the Carolina Insider.